has a story to claim. Sit back, listen to conversation between Terry Lynn and new authors on the rise, and let the journey begin.
Hello, friends. Welcome to
Hello.
my podcast, Conversations Between Terry Lynn and New Authors. On this episode, I'm talking with Catherine Butterfield. She wrote a novel titled The Serpent and the Rose, which is about a mother-daughter battle in the Middle Ages. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
What inspired you to write The Serpent and the Rose?
Well, a few years ago, I was at an artist's retreat in Nérac, France. And while I was there, our host took us out to dinner. And we dined in the shadow of ruins of an old castle. And I learned that King Henry IV of France and his wife, Marguerite de Valois, lived in that castle and were, in fact, the inspiration for Shakespeare to write Love's Labour's Lost, which I found fascinating. I had no idea that that play was based on real people. I used to be a Shakespearean actress, so it was fun to hear that. And then later on, I read Marguerite's memoirs, which were really fascinating. And it clinched the deal for me. I felt like I knew who she was and that I could write a book about her, extrapolating a little bit.
What a wonderful way for history and inspiration to come together.
Yeah, it really was.
What does the title symbolize, and why did you choose it?
Well, you may have heard, if you study history at all, you may have heard Catherine de' Medici referred to as the Serpent Queen. There were a lot of stories about her. People were very intimidated by her, and the rumor was that she wore a serpent ring that opened up and had poison in it. And she was rather famous for poisoning, or at least that was the report, for poisoning her enemies. So she's the serpent, and the rose is Marguerite, her daughter, who was a beautiful woman and very much a pawn of her mother. Her mother used her beauty in order to match her up with a prince in order to try to stop the religious wars. So I thought that would be a good title, because the book is basically about their ongoing lifelong battle with one another.
I love the symbolism behind the title. Knowing the serpent is Catherine de' Medici and the rose is Marguerite gives it even more meaning.
Yeah, I think so too. I also made the rose her favorite flower.
Without giving away spoilers, what central theme do you hope readers discover?
Well, I think the theme of division within a country. Our country, the United States, currently seems to be very factionalized. And this was true also of France during that time. There were religious wars going on between the Catholics and the Protestants who viewed each other as being, barely human. It was crazy how much they hated one another. The wars were raging over religions. Each side vilified the other as monsters. And then the press, which we've experienced this as well, the press had a lot to do with egging on that hatred and telling stories that caused the other side to feel even worse about each other. So in that sense, sorry, my cats are acting up. In that sense, it was a time very much like our own. And the theme of intolerance of the other, they've found a fly that they really want. The theme of intolerance of one another is explored in that way in the book. Guys, calm down. They've never been to Ireland. It's an exciting time for them.
That's a powerful theme. It's striking how history can mirror our own time.
It really is. And of course, history repeats itself again and again. So,
what kind of research did you do while writing this novel?
Well, I would say the research that really got me going was that I discovered Marguerite's memoirs, which are available in the Gutenberg Press. And although the language is very archaic and it's translated from the French, I really got a sense of who she was. I felt her intelligence radiating. I felt that she was very concerned with being on the right side of the throne, of having people like her and of being in favor with the throne. Because, of course, if you weren't in favor, you could accidentally die. And so I read a lot about that. And I was really impressed by her intelligence as well. And also, I got the feeling that mom was kind of a problem for her, Catherine de' Medici. As I read about the times online, I learned a great deal more. I learned about the other characters in her life, what wars raged where, and who the major characters in the conflict were. And I learned a lot more about her husband, Henry, who was known as le vert galant, which means the green gallant. But what it really means is that he was quite the Lothario. He slept with a lot of women and was not faithful to her in any way. And it was he was famous for it. And of course, here's another theme that recurs in our times. The men are very much appreciated for their, sleeping around with everybody, but the women, not so much.
It sounds like you did an incredible amount of research.
Yeah, yeah, I really did. It was fun, though. And it is amazing what you can learn online.
Were any of the characters inspired by real people or personal experiences?
Well, yeah, they all are, because this is a historical fiction. They're all people who existed back in the day. They maybe weren't exactly the way I portrayed them. For instance, one character, Henry de Guise, I really made him the villain of the piece. And I'm not sure that he was a complete villain, but if you look at his portraits, he just looks like a really haughty, full of himself kind of guy who, it had no problem slaughtering people left and right, had no problem killing Protestants. And was in a relationship, this is true, is that he was in a relationship with Marguerite. How that relationship played out is, I think, different maybe from what actually happened in real life. But it's close enough. I think they were definitely an item for a while. And her mother was very angry about it. In fact, she ran into Marguerite's rooms and, punched her, pulled at her clothing and slapped her around and said, "You can't be with this guy." And that's recorded history, which is kind of amazing.
Wow, I didn't know this was a true story.
Yeah, it very much is. Well, true-ish. We should call it true-ish. Maybe not 100% true, but I tried to err on the side of being accurate. I know that some historical writers try to take great liberties, but it makes me uncomfortable to do that. I would rather be as correct as possible about what happened.
How did you balance historical or factual details with the needs of a compelling story?
Well, when I didn't know and couldn't seem to find out the details, I would fictionalize it to some extent, but I always tried to keep in mind the truth of what the facts were on the ground. There were many, many wars going on, and they were actually draining the population of young men because they were killing one another by the thousands, not only in France, but also in Navarre, where King Henry lived. He wasn't King Henry yet. He was the Prince of Navarre. And so what I know is that these wars were draining both countries, and that Catherine really felt she needed to do something to save France because the population was actually going down and these wars were not stopping. So her scheme to marry the Catholic Marguerite to the Protestant Henry de Guise is quite famous. Now, what she actually planned to do, how devious she was about this, historians are still arguing about that. Like whether she was trying to lure Huguenots into Paris in order to slaughter them, which is what eventually happened, or was she with an open heart trying to bring about a reconciliation between Catholics and Protestants?
I appreciate your commitment to historical accuracy. It makes the story even more compelling.
Yeah, I think so too. I know some people go very far afield with their fictionalizing, and I don't think that helps us. I think it's important to have a real sense of what history really was.
What part of the writing process do you enjoy the most? planning, drafting, revising, or editing?
Well, planning is always fun because at that point, it's kind of a dream portion of the process in your head, and you're just sort of scheming how you can put this thing together and make it an interesting story. But then there's nothing like getting it down on the page. Once it's on the page, you can see it, you can play with it, and you feel the process starting to happen. And then revising it can be enjoyable if it means that you're seeing a way to make your story even better. Revising can be fun where you swap scenes around and you enlarge some scenes and you cut other scenes and you start to get the feeling of the music of the piece. And then after that, editing, bleh, I find that rather tedious, but I know that it has to be done. I edit my own work and it's a lot of work, but yeah, that's not the most fun part. I think the most fun part is the initial writing of the thing where it starts to flow and you start feeling that they're taking over the story and you're just, your fingers are moving, but you're not sure what you're about to write. And then you're like, oh, look what they did. I know you're a writer
I
too.
like that perspective. Sounds like you enjoy every stage of the process, even the challenging parts.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, even editing, it's all part of the process.
What do you hope readers feel when they turn the final page?
Well, when I wrote the final page, I started crying because there's a love story in it that is deeply moving to me. And it was, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, there's a little something to cry over there. And so maybe I hope that by the final page, their hearts are full. Maybe they have a tear in their eye. And I'd love them to have the sense that they've just taken a terrific journey. Because it's the journey of Marguerite's life, and it's a really interesting one.
I'm sure they will. I know I did when I listened to the audiobook.
Oh, you listened to the audiobook. Oh, that's terrific. Thank you.
What advice would you give aspiring novelists who are writing their first book?
My primary advice would be to read every book that you can get a hold on. I'm so surprised by the lack of reading these days. There's a number of people that I've encountered who have said to me, "Oh, I'm thinking about writing a book." And when I ask them what's the last book they read, they can't give me one. Maybe that they forgot the title, but no, I get the feeling that they themselves do not read. And if you don't sit down and read novels and learn what's gone before and learning style is something you can only learn by reading the book, you're not going to write a very good book. So I think without reading extensively, they're doing themselves a great disservice. Being an avid reader will make you a better writer. And of course, by reader, I mean listener to podcasts too. Just steep yourself in it so that you know the genre. That's my advice.
I second that.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Are you currently working on another book?
I'm in the exploration stage of the idea of something. It's really still just a fetus. It takes place in 1970s America, and I don't want to say more about it at the moment because I'm not sure whether it will actually happen or be stillborn or what. What I'm doing now in other regards is that I am adapting The Serpent and the Rose for television. And we had a reading of the pilot episode recently in Los Angeles with the actress Jean Smart reading Catherine de Medici, and it went really well. It went really well. So while I'm here in Ireland, I've been writing episode 2, which I just completed. I see it as an open-ended series. I'd love to have it done. Visualizing having this done.
I can't wait to watch The Serpent and the Rose on TV.
Yeah, I hope you do. I hope I do too.
You are welcome. Where can people find you online and follow your journey?
Oh, I have a website, and it is www.catherinebutterfield.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And I write articles for Substack as well. I don't write them like every week, but I do have quite a few out there now. I started last year, so you could find me on Substack if you wanted to. And I think that's about it. I'm not on Twitter anymore, or X, or whatever it's called.
Thank you, Catherine, for your information. I will put your website in this episode's notes below.
Oh, good. Thank you. That'd be great.
Is it anything else you want people to know about you?
Oh, let's see. I was an actress for many years. I'm married to my husband, Ron West, who is a director and actor and writer himself. And my two cats are Douglas and Betsy. And I'm glad they didn't disrupt this interview any more than they did. If I had my way, we would live here full time, but we do have obligations at home.
Ireland sounds like a wonderful place to call home. I hope you're enjoying every moment while you're there.
I am. I mean, just look out the window. Thank you. Thanks so much, Terry. I really enjoyed this.
You are welcome. Thank you, Catherine, for talking with me on my podcast, Conversations Between Terry Lynn and New Authors on the Rise. Okay, my listeners, tune in next week when I talk with Julie Canfield and find out what examination of the church's dark history in Ireland and in America she based her novel Hiding Behind Robes. Until then, happy reading.